Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome to Culture Night,
where each week we're doing fancy wine and watch movies that are in some way culturally significant. I'm Andrew.
and I'm Sarah, and we are back for season 6, episode 5.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, we don't know what to say there ever.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Well, we've got some fun, interesting podcast business to talk about, though.
It's very exciting. Do you want me to say it, or do you want to say it?
I can say it. So later this episode, we will be bringing on our first official guest on the pod.
Woo!
She'll be joining us a little bit later, closer to the end of the pre-show. So Stick around.
We will introduce her then. So before we get to all that fun, exciting new stuff, what are we drinking tonight?
Tonight we are drinking the 2021 Fat Boy Zinfandel from...
the infamous Tobin James.
Or the famous.
Or just like the best all around great. Ooh. I don't know what I'm getting on the nose, but it seems very different
fruity.
than the last couple that we've had.
Yeah.
Not as alcohol forward.
I almost got Fruity Pebbles on the nose there.
It's sweeter.
Sweetness. I think we're going to get a real jammy profile. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Very jammy, very sweet.
Mm-hmm. Very thick, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's jammy, right?
Very jammy, yeah.
We should jam it.
Get some like
Spaceballs.
I get some like blackberry.
Mm-hmm.
It's really ripe.
Yes.
Fruit.
And just very like grape, blackberry, strawberry, just like that sweetness I associate with jelly jam.
Like grape Pop-Tart, the best way.
Gotta love a Pop-Tart.
So we will let you guys know our thoughts later as we drink through it after the show.
Yes. So now it is time to move into our Slept On It segment, where we revisit what we watched last week, which was Apollo 13. Does your rating change after sleeping on it? You rated it an 8.0 and I rated it a 7.3.
I think it bumps up, honestly, like a little bit, just reading into like how accurate some of the things are. Like with a lot of the communication between Houston and the astronauts was like word for word. They did change it a little bit. But for the most part, like they really kind of stuck to a lot of the accuracy and they didn't try to like go too Hollywood of making it too crazy. I think it bumps it up just a tiny bit, maybe like an 8.3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I will bump my score up a little bit as well. I get stuck in your score rubric of rewatchability. Like, yes, I've seen it before. It is a good movie, but it's also not something that I'm going to want to watch 1,000 times. Like, it's a lot to it. It's a long movie.
Yeah, like I said, it's one that you would want to watch like pieces of, but I don't know if I'm going to sit down and be like, oh, I'm caught this like 10 minutes in. Let me watch the rest of it now. I'll watch a solid like 25 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, maybe.
Yeah. And that's where I get hung up in like the whole rubric that you created that I've started to follow as well. And I also don't know how much the movie itself is like in pop culture. Like I'm sure like as far as in like the sci-fi genre of technique and how they make the movie, it had some like advancements or like did some things there. And
this one wasn't really even sci-fi though. This was,
I was just saying more like that science, space, all of those things. Like that genre is all very like requires a lot of like CGI and all of that stuff to make a lot of the things happen. But I feel like it's more like obviously based on a actual cultural moment as opposed to being something that is then.
Yeah, and had the very iconic Houston, we have a problem line. Like it's very much one that is known for that.
Yes. But that is not all of that. I sound very negative. That is not to say it is not a fantastic movie, because it is, but that's kind of where my score sits.
Yeah.
All right. So now I think it's time for some fact snacks.
Yes. Bring it on.
Yes. So this honestly is more of like a behind the screens / fact snacks, because it's like behind the scenes of this specific movie and how it works. But, and it was just going to be one little snippet, and then it turned into just being a whole story about this one particular thing. So this is about how they filmed the zero gravity scenes in the movie. So by the 90s, they were like, CGI is not there where we can just fake this. We have to practical effect it. And like wiring was still like very obvious that you could see. So they were like, we're going to do the thing. And to do it, they leased a Boeing KC-135, which is something that is actually used by NASA to train their astronauts. And the way it works is that this plane flies in large arcs or parabolas. And once it drops, they have about 25 seconds to experience zero gravity. So they filmed the zero gravity stuff in 25-second bursts.
Oh my God.
And so
That'd be so like
horrible.
Yeah. It's like, all right, let's do a quick reshot. Okay, hang on, we got to climb back up again, and now hold on to your butts.
Just wait. The more I was reading, I was like, oh my God, I would quit, or they would honestly fire me because I wouldn't be able to do it. So you will appreciate this. The plane is more commonly known as the Vomit Comet.
Yep.
Because that would be me for sure. And according to an interview with Kevin Bacon, they would shoot around 40 shots in the morning. I don't know how much space was in between those. And then they would go again in the afternoon and do 40 more of those dips, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, not for me. As someone who gets dizzy putting up Christmas lights by just like walking around a post twice, I don't think I could handle this. I'm at an age where I just don't have that in me anymore.
100%. But it was mostly used for just the full body shots. So anything where like most of their body was in it. But if it was just like the scenes where it was just their heads, they would sit on like a seesaw type contraption to kind of get that like bobbing motion without having to do the full drops.
That
so
makes sense.
I don't know how much of the film was actually comprised of these full body shots.
25-second segments where you never like see anything longer than that.
Right?
But I guess they could do longer scenes if they're just kind of like bobbing a little bit.
Which I think, you know, they're trying to show off what space looks like to a certain extent, but there's not like the whole thing is not based on that. But it was also, so all the sets were obviously like screwed into the plane so that they wouldn't be moving around, but like all the people and the stuff were not screwed down, and it was not something that they could really control. It was just kind of how things were going. So there were a lot of takes that they just had to completely scrap because the person would float out of frame, or like the objects they were holding would float the wrong way or do the wrong thing. That it was definitely not an easy task.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm still like reeling from reading all the details, and I didn't even like get all the way through the article because there was just so much information in the first couple of paragraphs that I was just like, oh my gosh, there's a lot there. But so, you know, good on you guys, cast and crew, all that's like that. I mean, obviously I'm sure that you can only have but so many people in a plane, but not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. I just love the whole like engineering aspect of it though, like the problem solving. There's people having an actual real life problem in space and you have to solve it, and like it's critical. There's no like, well, we'll circle back to it next week. It's like all hands on deck. We've got to figure out how to solve this thing. Nothing is ruled out. Like here's the tools they have. Here's the parameters. Like solve it. I just love that. I don't know how well I would actually thrive in that life or death situation, but the engineer in me is just like, hell yeah. Like there's no rules except bring them home. Yeah.
I appreciate the excitement of it. I know myself and that I do not thrive in pressure situations. So I would not be good. And no, thank you.
Yeah. I think if I was able to get started and have like an actual like decent basis to work off of, sure. If I come in and I panic in the first 2 minutes, then yeah, I'm useless.
Yeah. I also just like, I know I can barely watch the movies with like what's going on and like all these like space things that like if I was actually had to be like helpful in like a real life situation, just like I would be out so quick. Anyways, I think that about wraps it up for Apollo 13. Any other thoughts?
Don't think so. Ready to move on to what we're watching tonight?
Yes. So tonight we are watching Armageddon from 1998 and it is rated PG-13.
And it's moving into the era where now movie ratings are much more realistic of
reflective of what today's times standards
are. So yeah, let's hop in our time machine back to 1998, where the top 3 movies released that year were Titanic at number 1, grossing $488 million.
That is so much money.
Especially
it also came out in 97, right? Like the end of 97?
December of 97.
So like the whole year of 98. Dang.
Number 2 was Armageddon, grossing a measly $201 million, less than half.
I know, and especially compared to like I feel like last week everything was in the 300 millions. That I guess everybody was just seeing Titanic over and over and over again.
And the third was Saving Private Ryan, grossing $190 million. So Titanic, far and away the number 1.
I was just like you reading those 3 titles out. I remember. I feel like that's when I started to be like aware of what was going on in like pop culture around me. I have not, spoiler alert, I've not seen Armageddon, but like I did see Titanic, but like I have not seen Armageddon or Saving Private Ryan. But like, I remember it was just like the talk of the people. And so it very much makes sense to me when you read those out that they're all like clumped together and the most popular of that year. Cause I remember the hype.
What's interesting is number 7 was Deep Impact, grossing $140 million. So like, I feel like there's so many years where two very similar movies come out, like Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached, coming out in like 20 whatever with
Justin Timberlake, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher.
But I feel like there's so many years where like you see two very specific type of movies being made like in the same year from two different studios, which is always wild to me.
That they could possibly come out within that.
There might be a little bit of like, some behind the scenes collusion or spying or something to try to offset whatever. If someone has a great plot, I don't know. I always found that interesting. Anyways, the top 3 songs released that year were Too Close by Next, The Boy Is Mine by Brandy and Monica, and You're Still the One by Shania Twain, the one and only.
Shania is on fire.
Shania Twain.
Oh, that's. I was just about to say, I don't think I know any of these songs. I might know the Brandy song if I heard it.
Yeah, I'd like to listen to them. I don't know that the first two, but definitely know the third one. And number 4 was Truly Madly Deeply by Savage Garden, which I rocked out to quite a bit. Just a really fun song.
I feel like Savage Garden really feels like it would fit your vibe. I will say I can't remember whether it was last week or the week before, but recently I did actually listen to the top 3 songs to make sure I knew what they were. And so maybe eventually I'll start getting the habit of actually doing it, but I've done it once.
Way down at number 23 was I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith, which is a song that was released with this movie.
Oh,
so
very interesting.
I thought it'd be a little bit higher up, but the movie did come out this movie came out in like July of that year, so maybe just didn't have enough time to really climb up the charts. But anyways, now it is time for us to bring on our first ever guest.
Yay!
All right, we are here with our special guest, our good friend Kaylin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Our first official guest. Do you feel special?
I do. Can't wait.
All right, so now let's go ahead and start talking about the movie. Have you seen the movie before?
I have not seen it before.
I have seen it multiple times.
I've seen it probably like 5 or 6 times.
I would say that times 100 for me. Maybe.
Roughly, somewhere around there.
Yeah, she's been like anxiously being like, so when are you watching Armageddon? When are you watching Armageddon? And can I come down? And I was like, we're not there yet, but
It's been a couple of years since I've seen it, so I pretty much know the whole movie, but it's a lot of like little bits of gaps there, and I'll be watching it with a little more critical eye this time.
Yeah, now I'm nervous because I know you're about to ask me what I know about the movie, and I feel like I used to know things about the movie, like when it came out. Like I remember it was really popular, but I know I can't even remember who's in it. And
okay. It's only like the best cast ever for anything.
I feel like I remember, it was like one of the top 2 or top 3 grossing movies that year. Was it number 1 or was it 2?
I think it was further down on that list.
I think it was in the top 3 because Saving Private Ryan and Titanic, it was number 2. It was 1998.
It was a stacked year.
Banging year for movies. So I remember it coming out. I want to say it's like, oh God, now I can't even think of his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's in it.
Yep, that one.
And the other guy.
Do you want to give you a clue?
I want to say Matt Damon, but I feel like that's wrong because you love Matt Damon. But like,
it's another guy that I also love.
The other half of that, yeah, I can see his face, but I can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's in it.
Matt Damon and that other guy.
No, Matt Damon's not in it though.
I know, but I was hoping that saying Matt Damon would help me remember what his name is. But oh man,
all right,
it's been a long time since I've had a slip like this on the pod.
Give us a plot prediction.
I feel like this is more of like sci-fi than like coming off of Apollo 13. That was like real life stuff. This is like, oh God, your smile makes me nervous. I can also just tell because you're so excited. You love it so much. I feel like that's how I felt when we watched Spaceballs. I was like, I love this movie so much. I feel like it's like an end of days kind of like sci-fi. I don't know if I don't want to say aliens, but like something.
What category do you think it is? Like drama? I mean, I guess you said sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Okay.
I feel like it's probably like action, sci-fi.
Yeah.
I feel
like general, like, 1 or 2 sentences of where you think the movie's going to be.
This was a lot easier to predict for rom-coms because
they fall in love.
These 2 people fell in love.
They just don't talk. And
and that was easier. This could be any number of things.
A plot mountain. What is it?
Oh my gosh. Okay, Miss Teacher. They are trying to.
You're right so far.
There's like some new.
They're trying to
new technology, something that they're trying out, and it goes awry and causes some kind of end of days scenario.
Okay.
I wish
Sure.
I had put more thought into this morning, but I didn't think about it.
Okay.
Oh well.
right.
So I'm going to be proven very wrong. But anyways, I'm excited.
Ready for the movie now?
Yes, I think
All right,
it is time
let's
for
jump in
Armageddon.
and see them try.
Cheers.
And cheers.
Yes.
Welcome back. That was Armageddon.
Armageddon. I can now say, check that off the list. I've seen it.
I was gonna say that was emotional.
So now, first, before we get too far in the movie, let's start with the wine scale. The wine scale is 0 to 10 scale. However, this scale is heavily weighted, so a low score does not necessarily mean that it is not a good wine, because all the wines we drink on the show are very good wines. That being said, I'm going to rate this wine a 5.9.
Ooh, what are you going to rate it?
Oh,
I already
you go
have it.
first.
I have it locked in.
You go first.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 7.1.
Ooh.
That is a heavily weighted 7.1. You said 5.9?
Yeah.
4.
A 4.
A 4.
Wow. Miss Critical over
Hater
here.
in the house.
Okay.
It was great.
It was a sweeter wine. I don't know. I think also like it felt super sweet last night, and I like having it open up.
I'll go to
We-
4.7.
We did have it over 2 nights, full disclosure. That we like we
Compared
had
to
like,
last week's wine, it was clearly a head above. It was good. I didn't really nothing to write home about.
I was surprised by my score. Honestly, I was like, I'm really enjoying this. I think I'm going to give it a 7. And then I locked that in before I switched the after show wine. So
I will say it is a very good wine to like watch a blockbuster movie with. Like it was
was
paired well
a
with the
solid
movie.
wine. I had some like chocolate taste, like aftertaste. Do you feel that too? No? Okay. I thought it was
I
great.
got less chocolate. It just was overall like a lot of jammy berryness to me.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was good. Everybody has their own
A
palate
wine to
and
like
is entitled to their own
wind down to after like a full day work. I wouldn't go to that one. But
Reading the description,
let's hear
the
it.
Fat Boy, the name says it all. This is a wine that is thick, rich, jammy, over the top, and of course, fat. Many consider Fat Boy Zin to be the quote holy grail of Zinfandel because of its rarity. Only a few select cases bottled in this unique style. The grapes used in this blend are from blah 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 blah, blah and Paso Robles. Yeah. So overall, though, thick, rich, jammy. Nothing about chocolate. So sorry.
Weird.
So you're clearly
taste
wrong.
There is no wrong answer
right.
on what you taste.
There is not actually chocolate or jam or anything in these
Yeah.
wines. Is all subjective to the taster. So
Love that.
Jammy is just kind of a little cheat code of being like, this wine tastes very jammy.
that's his
Got
go-to
some
word.
earth tones
Yeah.
too.
Yes, I love it.
Earthiness.
I love a
There is
good
no
earthy
earthiness
wine.
to it.
It's floral
It's more
notes.
space tones.
Yeah. Oh, out of this
Oh,
world.
got it.
It was out of this world. Okay.
There it
All right,
is.
so now let's move into our movie rating out of 10. So we typically, Andrew has like a loose rubric that he follows for his movies. You want to share your rubric?
It's generally like 4 main components. One is the rewatchability. Like if it's like, am I going to rewatch it, or is it like on TV? I'm like flipping the channels on TNT, and I'm like, oh, Armageddon's on. Like, am I going to watch the rest of it? That scale. The quotability. You know,
We're just fighting on all
Huge.
cylinders for
the
you.
cultural impact, and
Yeah.
just overall enjoyment is the 4th one.
Yeah.
So generally, that kind of like makes up my overall score
Out of 10.
out of 10.
Do you want to go first for yours?
No. I'll go last.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess
Safe.
it's a safe choice. I guess I have to go first because you
I'm
go first
so
on mine.
excited.
So I will give it a 7.8.
7.7.
Oh, we're always so close, but we're
Oh,
never
man.
matching up. Ugh.
So close.
10.
I mean, we did invite you on for like
I
your
mean,
favorite movie of all time.
It
so
is one of my top 5 movies.
yeah, and I mean,
Top
listening
10.
to his scale, I was like, well, she's gonna rate
I
this
like,
like super high.
quotability. I quote it literally all the time.
The things that mainly dock it for me are just the overall length of it that kind of affects the rewatchability of
long.
it. Love the quotability. Like,
Yeah.
come and get Papa Bear, just screaming Harry. Like, just there's so
Not
many,
even out AJ.
so many great quotes from this. Like, very, easy to score there. But the cultural significance, I think it was more like encapsulated. I don't know if it really impacted things before or after it as much. So the 7.7 kind of is kind of that very much a great movie. Absolutely love it. But kind of falls in the 7.7 for me.
It did make. I should probably fact check myself.
It's okay. We're not a deeply
Let's say like
fact-checked
530 million worldwide. So it was the best of the year.
Yeah. Probably the best space movie for like a solid decade before and after, I would guess. But
yeah, I mean, I did enjoy it. As the first time watcher of the group, I did enjoy it. It was a little tough with the peanut gallery quoting the entire movie.
I tried to whisper.
It is. I know.
Really
I
restrained myself.
The quotability.
quickly toned it out, but
on a jet plane.
that's why they're on the same couch and I am by myself.
That salesman's on TV. Like the littlest quotes. I don't know why I remember
And this
them.
is how we can tell that you guys have been friends longer.
Lives rent-free in our
Longer
hearts.
than
Salesman's
I
on TV. Name that movie. Armageddon. Duh. Like.
Anyways, I did enjoy it, and I do want to watch it again in the future. Maybe just like not right now.
Gotcha.
All right, so now let's move into our movie description. Do you want to go ahead and do your...
Yeah, this one's fairly easy, all things considered. Giant asteroid is coming to the Earth. If it hits, it's going to just destroy the world. So NASA enlists the best drillers in the world to go to said asteroid, drill a big hole, blow up the dynamite. Whole bunch of obvious, like crazy plot complications ensue. And do they make it? I don't know.
Love how you leave it on cliffhanger.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
Well, I mean, if you're watching, I hope that you know there's going to be so many spoilers. All
Might
right.
be Armageddon 2. You don't know.
I mean, I think at this point I do know, but...
Great sequel. Can you imagine?
I don't know.
I can't.
Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine.
Anyways, I have to get this part over because it's my least favorite part of the podcast. This is where I read the description according to RTV, which says, when an asteroid threatens to collide with Earth, NASA... Honcho.
Okay, yes, we get some adjectives.
I hate these descriptions. They're terrible. NASA honcho Dan Truman determines that the only way to stop it is to drill into its surface and detonate a nuclear bomb. This leads him to renowned driller Harry Stamper, who agrees to helm the dangerous space mission provided he can bring along his own hotshot crew. Among them is...
This is a long description.
I know, I hate them
Let's
so
hear
much.
it.
They're
Who's
so
in this?
Among them is the cocksure AJ.
The what now?
Cock.
I'm going to need you to say it at least 2 more times.
I read it 3 times before I even said it out loud. I hate these so much. It's exactly what you think I said.
Be sure of it.
AJ, who Harry thinks isn't good enough for his daughter until the mission proves otherwise.
Spoiler.
I will never understand why whoever writes these feels the need. There's always these adjectives that are just like way over the top and
like
unnecessary.
dashing.
The people that write those, were they in the credit like synopsis?
No, I don't know, because we've read them from multiple sources before and they're different.
But I wonder if there's like
one thing will be 2 sentences, and then this one where I don't know where we get them from. It's like 12 sentences and it's like 1,000 adjectives and it's super descriptive. And I'm like, why is it like
But I wonder
this?
if they do credit like the marketing department of like the tagline person, and is that a role like do we see the same person in like multiple movies? Like that's something I'd like to
That's a
explore
behind the
next week.
screens for future episodes one day when we get back into that.
Yeah, I don't think I would agree with the whole NASA honcho thing. It just kind of seems like he was like
He just happened to be the guy that was unlucky enough to have to be the head of all this.
I mean, I love him, so I think he's top 3 cast members of the
I mean, he's very well cast for sure.
Billy Bob for sure.
All right.
Bruce, Billy Bob, Ben. I love him.
The bees.
And yes, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and spoil one of my notes now. Freaking Ben Affleck, I'm so sorry. It's just like, I knew it would come to me as soon as I saw it and I read it on the screen and I was like, God damn it.
It's so enjoyable
hilarious.
watching it not come to you though.
I know you love it.
I know, we're like, ooh, she's not going to get him.
It
She's not
happens
gonna
to me
get him.
more than I would care to admit, and Andrew gets a lot of joy out of it. So,
You don't like Ben Affleck.
Happens to all of us, just usually not on camera.
all right. So I guess this next question is directly at me: was the movie what you expected? I mean, like plot line, I had no idea, but like overall essence, yes. There was action. There was like, oh my gosh, this is going wrong. Somebody's got to fix it. Like save the day kind of situation.
Would you classify it as sci-fi?
So I was thinking about that during the movie. It is, sci-fi is science fiction. There is like this science and NASA are one. It is a fake movie, so it is fiction. Yes,
Based on science, yeah. I think it is. It's just not normally what people think
it
of
is
sci-fi
not what
being,
I
like,
think of as
bridge out
typical
of it. Yeah.
sci-fi, but because I had this exact thought during my movie. Love your question, but I think yes, it is sci-fi.
Okay.
But not in the
'Cause otherwise it's
stereotypical like
sci-fi
create
action.
like world building, creating worlds situation. But it is based in science and it is a fictional
it's
Are
story.
you fact checking?
No. No. Yeah.
No, you're
No,
wrong.
I am. No,
Because
I
you're
just
right,
have
she's
to
not going
look
to call
up.
you out on it.
No, because factual, completely, obviously
Made up story.
inaccurate. But there was another movie, Deep Impact, same year.
We talked about this in the pre-show. Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Same year,
Mm-hmm.
more scientifically accurate than Armageddon.
But less successful.
Yes.
So you got to pick your battles.
Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about in the pre-show because we talk about the movies highest grossing of that year, and on that list I saw was Deep Impact, and we were talking about how like so many years there's like
Literally
the same
similar,
movie like
yeah.
Like we talked about no strings attached and
Friends with Benefits.
Friends with
Yes.
Benefits.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like the same
Yeah.
movie. It came out at
Yep.
the same time, and Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, but
Right?
like different. So you know, people have the same ideas,
Love
same
it.
years.
It's a little
Apparently.
bit of collusion going
You
on.
know,
but
it's fine.
It happens.
All right. How
how-
well did it age? Great.
I thought it aged really well. The big tells for me were the slow-mo scenes.
You are really on the slow-mo scenes lately.
Which-
I don't
Like,
notice
in
them
the
quite so
90s
much.
when they're doing slow motion, it's like they're just playing the same frame. They're having it stretch out twice as long, so it just feels really jerky. Nowadays, when you see slow motion, they film it at twice the frame rate and play I guess all of the frames at the same frame rate. So it's much more smooth. It feels a lot more jerky. The example I give is when you watch The Lion King.
Yeah.
And like the Mufasa versus Simba, not Mufasa, Scar versus Simba fight at the end where Scar is like lunging at Simba. It's very like jerky and stuttery, and like that compared to nowadays where everything is just silky smooth.
But does animation come into play there?
No, it's the same thing with frame rate. It's all 24 FPS.
How many frames of artwork do you show
Gotcha.
versus frames of actual motion?
Otherwise, I thought most of it
There
the
was some CGI that wasn't
that bad.
Yeah.
there was just, I think it was my first note was like the one at the beginning was kind of like, this looks a little outdated. But I mean, it's obviously like a fictional story, so it's not like it's set in any particular time. And there was no like, I mean, his Nokia phone was like a big like, oh, this is from a different time.
Well, Richard. Okay.
The weird voiceover narration at the beginning is kind of weird, though. That to me, it's kind of like was that
It
a
never
90s
like tied
thing?
back in. Like
Yeah, never. Like, and it could be this next
Yeah,
one that
that's
blows it all
true.
up. Like, just felt very.
But that also kind of feels like of the times. So slightly outdated now, but there was a lot of more voiceover in the 90s.
I
and
did
80s.
make note of Billy Bob Thornton. His line delivery was just like so good, like so dramatic, and I'm like, I just love you so much.
Yeah, he was a great cast for that, for sure.
yeah.
I was not expecting him,
Yeah.
but he was great.
I've got a little bit of it, so I'll touch
You'll
on it
wait.
just a little bit. Could this movie be made today?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why it like didn't age. There's no reason that part of it that didn't really age well to me.
I don't think it could be cast the same today.
If they did the exact same cast,
If they did this, yes. If they did the exact same cast, yes. Like a remake, or just if it was made today.
or just like a lot of times I'm looking at like, are there things that just culturally like, just would not fit, where it'd be feel out of place or something,
Yeah.
or just like the whole concept wouldn't fit.
I think the concept of the story could absolutely
If they
be made
remade it
today.
today, I think they'd have a strong female lead somewhere in the astronauts
Yeah.
there. They had
Yeah.
like the one female that was like on the asteroid and she just kind of got shoved aside. I think now they'd have a much
Literally
stronger.
shoved aside.
Literally.
They would also, I mean, like one of the like oil girls, like
Yeah.
that would have been something.
Yeah.
Instead of her, just like, instead of
Girl
Liv Tyler just
A
being like,
slightly more diverse cast.
but
Shout out to the 100th woman in space this week. Woo!
yes,
I had to,
all up on her space facts over here.
you know.
So,
Next one was, did they say the title of the movie in the movie?
no.
They mentioned the end of days and like biblical things, but I don't think they explicitly said Armageddon ever.
I don't think they did.
I was expecting a very dramatic, like turn to camera, like Armageddon is coming, or like something like
Armageddon. Yeah,
super
no,
dramatic,
I don't think they have.
like is typical of the 80s and 90s movies where they're like, I'm home alone, or like, I mean, it's like something super
Yeah.
obvious. But this one, I don't recall anything like that.
Normally I'm pretty good at picking those up, so I don't think I saw one. Does the title
You're the one that created that question, so you're the one that always picks up on them.
absolutely? Does the title fit the movie? Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
what do you call it? Like asteroid. or Deep Impact.
Honestly, be a good fit. All the drilling, you know, going deep in.
Drill, baby, drill.
Combined.
Drill, baby, drill.
That'd
be a little ahead of its time.
So did I.
Next one was, were there any actors that went on to do bigger things?
I feel like everybody had been in stuff before, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard for some of these that are like in our youth to know, like, oh, are these people really big before then, or was this one of their first ones? That it's.
I have a couple notes. I mean, obviously Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I mean,
Funny
man, the
thing
myth,
about
legend.
Bruce Willis. I feel like
That's a good story to start.
my family. I feel like with my sister, we just loved this movie growing up so much. So I'm gonna cry because it's so funny.
Kaylin's been crying for like an hour.
Brooke, my little sister, that Bruce Willis was our grandpa, and she believed. She believed it so much that one day we were cleaning out her room.
I need to know the end of the story.
We found pictures of Bruce Willis taped into like her closet door. And we're like, Brooke, why do you have pictures of Bruce Willis in your closet door? She's like, he's our grandpa.
And she was 26 when this happened.
She literally thought Bruce Willis was our grandpa and had pictures of him like in her closet door. Oh my gosh. So I just really love Bruce Willis.
So now you got me crying.
Now she cries. Now she cries.
Sorry, the movie didn't get
So,
me.
yeah.
The story about Brooke got me.
Funny story about
The
Bruce
tragedy
Willis.
of her thinking that was her grandpa.
He's my grandpa.
Just his poor dementia.
I know.
Oh, that got me
can't.
the whole time. His like his health and everything. I was just like, oh God, what an amazing actor.
But doing bigger things, like I think it was a yes and no, but it was a freaking star-studded cast.
Yes, it was incredible.
Of that, like 97 through like 2002, like time period with the Billy Bob Thornton, Owen Wilson, Steve Buscemi, Ben Affleck, Jason Isaacs, Michael Clark Duncan, Pete Stormare, and Will Patton. Like all these.
Yeah.
Like,
Look at you writing them down.
From like Remember the Titans, Green Mile, like all the
Harry Potter.
all the Adam Sandler
Right.
movies. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to be that girl, but like Harry Potter. Lucius.
Don't worry, we're
Like
the dad.
just the Patriot. So many like movies that took place like or kind of like in that time period. Just studded cast for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Big
very,
Daddy.
very good.
I wrote that down.
Whew. Anyways, what impact do you think this movie had on pop culture?
I don't know that it particularly like affected future movies or anything like that. I do remember the hype of the movie. I remember hearing people talk about it. I remember like it being on the news. I remember just like hearing about it a lot. Obviously, it's been however many years. I still hadn't seen it until now, but I do remember it coming out and it being a big deal. And obviously, it was like the second most popular movie that year. Yeah. Or I guess we could argue that it was the most popular movie that year, since Titanic came out in 1997 in December and was called the most popular movie of 1998, but it did come out in 97. But
I think the big thing to me was that like you think of like Apollo 13, a bunch of like the space movies made at that time. The fact that Deep Impact and Armageddon came out at the same time, they were trying to capitalize on the whole like space, like craziness, like new storytelling in like literally like a new setting. I think that was kind of like a sign of the times. I don't think it was necessarily more of like a long-term impact thing versus, no pun on like Deep Impact, but like the fact that it was just kind of, that was the cultural moment. Like we were all like all in on space. We thought space was gonna be the next big thing, and then next thing you know, we were all about like Harry Potter and things like that.
yeah, well, I mean, it was pretty great, but
Yeah.
probably not as cool as space would have been. So, again, this last question is probably most directed towards me. Do you feel cultured after watching it? Yes, I do. Finally,
You finally get our jokes.
yeah, and
Is that why you feel culture? Because you get our jokes in the quotes.
I've known you guys and your friend group now for, I don't know, over 10 years. And now I'm like, oh,
Would you say we quote Armageddon a lot?
no.
If you go back in our group chat, you'll find that everying we've ever said to each other actually is a
Related
direct
I'm just
quote
gonna like
from
go
the
back and
Armageddon.
all we
search.
talk in quotes. Like
So I don't think
directly.
we actually talked about the fact that like Kaylin and Andrew were friends first. So like that's, we all met in college. They met in undergrad. I met Kaylin in grad school. So
You met Kaylin before me, but yeah.
I guess technically, Kaylin asked to be my freshman year roommate in the good old days of Facebook Messenger. But it's fine. So, anyways, they go back a lot farther than we do. Than I'm on the more outskirts of that. But apparently, a lot of their inside jokes are wrapped around this movie.
Yes.
I really, but we never watched it together. I feel like
it's a long movie to watch together.
It is.
I don't know, you guys. I mean, from what I hear, you guys would like stay up till like 2 a.m. watching movies all the time.
Like I'm saying, I think it was been like on TBS or TNT or something, and we like might have all watched it together, or just we all just quoted it together randomly.
I'm, like, I'm watching Armageddon, and we just quote
that all tracks.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you guys feel recultured after watching this?
Yes.
Finally, we've seen it together.
I loved it.
Finally, the gap has been bridged.
Armageddon so much.
All right, so that wraps it up for our questionnaire. So who wants to go first for their notes? I don't care. You want to go
I'll
first?
take it off.
Okay.
Oh my gosh,
I have a lot of notes. Okay, so Bruce
She'll probably cover all of our notes, so it'll be great.
Bruce Willis, grandpa, check.
It's a great story. I'm really glad you told that though.
Okay, so I know it's obviously a movie and we need to like hear all the sound effects. Noise in outer space, they wouldn't have been able to hear it. So that's just the nerd of me coming out. When I was little in elementary school, we had one shelf of space books. I started at one side and literally
love it.
Yep, I got through all of them.
I love that.
Yeah, I was like, I just love. I
like
and that's why we had you on our
was
space
like one
season.
of my goals in life. Still could be. I don't know.
You're still young.
So all the people, I mean, spoiler, all the people that died in this movie, screaming, in outer space, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, the second
I wrote screaming with spacesuit busted. Not real.
You would die like instantly.
It would have been a blast to have filmed that though. Just be like, okay, we're gonna put some crazy lights on you with like a broken helmet, and you just scream like your eyes bulging.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
I thought the same thing.
But also like a lot of them like weren't wearing their helmet, like or just were like not wearing until the very end. Like
the amount of time
literally could not get over it.
I don't mean to be the
Put your helmet on.
Here,
Put
but
your
if I
helmet
was
on.
in
Put your
space, I
helmet
would
on.
not take my helmet. I'm not care if you stay out there for like 3 years. Helmet will be on 24/7.
You're like Carl with the phone book. Get the phone book. Get the phone book. Put your helmet on. Put your helmet on.
Just saying.
My next note was Twin Towers burning.
I have that as a note too. Yeah, I mean, I honestly
obviously
like
before
a whole
like
section of it missing, right?
Yeah, it was just
when the first asteroid.
that whole scene in New York City, I was like, oh, this kind of feels like 9/11.
Yeah.
And then when they actually show the Twin Towers, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I hate this so much. Like,
Right.
This is like,
came
hurts
out
my
3
heart.
years previous to that.
right.
It just
just
made me so sad. It like started off on such a sad note there. I was like, I don't like this.
And then and then Paris just gone off the map.
Can't even talk about Paris.
Why even save the world at that point?
Going back to New York City, Little Richard, the dog.
I thought that they were going to play a much bigger role.
Right. And so I said Little Richard's story development was random. Like, it was good that they, like, connected us to, like, real humans, I guess. But, like...
Hey, I'm biking through the city.
The way you were talking about Little Richard, I was like, oh, man, this dog's going to, like... Because he was, like, biting the Godzilla things. I was like, okay, so maybe it is about aliens. And this dog is going to come in and, like, all the dogs are going to be able to hear the aliens and, like, attack them, like, was where I thought this was going.
I think it was just a reference to whole, like, the dinosaurs being wiped out by this. But... Yeah. Otherwise, it was,
But I mean, you guys had me so stressed in the pre-show about what my guess prediction was going to be. And then she's all like, Little Richard. And I was just like, I don't know what's happening here.
Just to throw you off. Billy Bob Thornton, delivery great, complete damage, end of mankind. Like, let that sink in. And just some casting connections, Big Daddy, comedy and drama. I would classify this as a comedy.
There's like comedic moments to it. I
wouldn't call it a comedy, but there are some laugh out loud moments. Like a lot.
And I think that's what makes a good like action sci-fi. Like anything that's not a comedy movie, when it has those moments where it's comedic, kind of like is like a relief of all the other stress that's going on.
Yeah,
I consider it more of a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, yet at the same time, it like still some like emotional parts of it.
I know these two boo-hooers over here.
Just
do you see my eyes?
I
literally had a moment where I was like wiping tears from my cheeks.
From the girl that's seen this movie like apparently 1,000 times.
I know, and from like the
It's
girl
every
that
time.
like it doesn't show emotion. It's fine. Let's see. Malfoy, smartest man in the world. You should listen to him. Just quote. Okay, music, great. Like literally, it really gets on your emotions. So like every time they played a new song, I was like, I know what's coming next. Like,
I mean, the music was great. It's just the whole like obvious Aerosmith portions, like having like when I was younger, I wouldn't have noticed it as much. But like now that I know Aerosmith, like that I'm not like 9 years old when this came out, it's like okay, Aerosmith song, Aerosmith song, and like that that Liv Tyler's in it just makes it a bit more like almost cringy, but. Otherwise, yes, I think the music, the soundtrack, the scoring was really good.
Yeah. She originally declined this role. I don't know who else would have played her, but like also...
Stay tuned for Fact Snacks next week. I will do
I was going to say...
I don't know them now, but I will deep dive who else was interested in the role.
I can't remember who. But I feel like at the end, she could have given more.
I won't star this unless my dad can play the soundtrack.
Right. That was the condition.
I did enjoy her. I feel like I haven't seen her in that many
She
things,
was
but
good.
I liked her as the character.
She was fine. And the end where she's like, bye, Dad. I'm like, Dad, no. I'm like, okay, your dad is literally dying. Like,
and like they land and then she's like not emotional at all.
Yeah.
She's like, let me just make out with my fiance.
Or try to by like 8 guys like step in.
Speaking of fiance, just because I'm biased and I love this movie, I think this is one of his like stronger movies. I don't know why.
Ben Affleck?
Yep. Jersey Girl, I think, is one of his strongest movies.
He does a really good job in it, honestly.
You've never seen Jersey Girl?
I don't think so.
There's a lot of movies where you see the actor.
It's very good.
Like Steve Buscemi in this, it's like more I'm like watching Steve Buscemi act in this.
And Owen Wilson was Owen Wilson.
Oh, Owen Wilson cannot be anything except Owen Wilson. But they like Ben Affleck just kind of blended in. He did a really good job, especially he was so early and young in his career.
Yeah, very young. His facial expressions, I feel like. I mean, that's obviously what makes me cry. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed his performance in this.
Yeah, he did a good job. What's his name? I don't know if I typed this right. Okay. William Fichtner?
Sure.
Fichtner?
Yep.
Played Sharp.
The also, pilot of
the pilot of the Freedom.
I was like, it's not Independence.
Connection to Ben Affleck. He was also in Pearl Harbor. He was Danny's dad in Pearl Harbor. Danny, played by Josh Hartnett.
I have not seen Pearl Harbor in a long time, but honestly, while we were watching this and seeing the Ben Affleck, I jokingly wanted to say, do you guys want to watch Pearl Harbor after this?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it in forever, and I would...
I love
you guys. We would not function.
It's like a 4-hour movie,
right?
I had it on VHS.
It was a 2 VHS movie.
Yes, I was gonna say I had it on VHS.
If you know, you know.
It was 2, and I think that and Titanic I think are the only 2 VHSs.
I definitely had the Titanic double VHS.
Okay, random. Going back to New York City. No one was like worried about after all those meteors.
Right.
And then like the world was just like, oh, we're just going to come.
So my biggest concern with this movie, and I don't know if I have an actual note about it, but it's like the timeline didn't really make sense to me. It was like New York, like a devastation. Nobody's concerned.
Yeah.
Like we're not like, oh God.
The rest of the world.
End of the world.
It was like a terrorist attack.
And like 50,000 people in Shanghai get taken out. What? No? Like, and then just like how everything, like, oh, we have to train these oil riggers to be astronauts. Like, I don't know. I had a whole struggle with a whole.
Funny thing about that. Sorry. I have just from years of loving this movie. When you said, let's train the oil riggers instead of the astronauts, Ben Affleck had actually asked the writer, he's like, why wouldn't we just do this? And he's like, don't say that anymore because there's no movie. And he's like, I'm just going to stop talking. And so that really was like up for debate. And they're like,
it just felt very like disjointed.
Yeah, I had a note of like, why is NASA running solo on all this? Like they not starting any of the countries being like, hey, a bunch of stuff happened. Shh, like we don't know anything.
Yep.
And then also
the
they're
American
like, hey,
astronauts
last minute,
are in
by the
charge.
way, ISS, we're gonna need like all these coordination. Like I feel like they would have involved other countries.
Yeah,
and like they
how
have to
they're like, we're moving the Hubble. Like, can you just like, hey, we need to move that international.
No one's asking any questions.
I thought the same thing, especially at the end when they were. And I saw like a bunch of American flags, and I was like, so like America was in like with the one group that was in charge of
a bit
fixing
of a
this
USA
whole
bias
global problem.
Yes. Okay. very stressful situation happening at NASA, multiple days on end. Do you think people are wearing suit and ties during this time?
Love that. I love that thought.
I'm like, why are they wearing clothes? Like, if I don't know, I just would be wearing this. Like, I'm stressed out. The world is ending. I'm not wearing a tie.
Yeah, like this kind of happens. It's like they got like in case of emergency, they pull it and there's a bunch of hoodies pop out. And they're like, guys, here's what we're wearing.
Get comfortable.
Here's your sweatpants. And also just like be comfortable, solve problems.
Yeah. But like still, like he was wearing a suit the whole time. I'm like, come on, bro. But take off the jacket.
I will say, I feel like 25 years later, we have very culturally shifted that.
All the tech bros.
Have you ever worn a suit and tie to work?
No. If
But
I did, people would raise a lot of eyebrows.
And I will say, I don't remember a day where my dad did not wear a suit and tie to work.
Yeah.
That like, I just think we are in a different place now than we were back in 1998.
That's true.
But like, yeah, I agree. If the world was ending, I'd be like, comfy clothes.
Right.
Let's go.
Bruce Willis and Steve Buscemi. What's his name?
See, it's hard to remember people's names, isn't it?
It is. The actor, I can't remember his name, that died in the oil rig on
Mike.
the one that was getting the tattoo.
Talking about Owen Wilson?
No. The one that was on the armadillo.
Yes. He mentioned like, oh man, this is straight out of Pulp Fiction. Bruce Willis and Steve Buscemi were both in Pulp Fiction. So it was like a little like...
Love that crossover. Yep. One day we'll watch Pulp Fiction and that will be a connection.
Were either of them in that?
I think they were both.
I've never seen Pulp Fiction, so I don't know.
I don't think either of them were.
Well, okay, cool. Next note, I'm almost out of notes.
Okay, Bruce Willis was okay. And okay, Steve Buscemi was okay. I didn't watch that one.
Oh my gosh, is Andrew wrong? Did we get that on film?
I'm the smartest person on this planet. You listen to me.
Oh,
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. I was thinking Shawshank Redemption. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, it's a late night. Were you thinking Fight Club? Oh my! Obviously, Bruce Willis was, and Steve Buscemi was in
there.
Oh, he was at the restaurant.
He was in there.
Don't give it away. I haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, now you know.
That's a big part of it.
Trust me, I will 100% forget between now and then. My memory is terrible.
I was thinking Shawshank Redemption.
I love when he's wrong. It's great.
So love it.
Like,
Thank you for teeing him up for that one.
Oh, 100%. Martial law. Do you know what it is?
So in the military is in control because.
Yes.
Did you know that before he said that?
I knew it was a thing. I just am too tired at this late of night to remember the specifics.
Yeah, they enacted martial law. Do you know when else they enacted martial law? In the history of
the U.S.?
The world.
Not off the top of my head, no.
I don't know, usually like during like riots and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that's coming up to me is the Chicago fires. Was last time. Just a fun fact.
It's a fun fact.
Fun history fact. I love history. All right. Okay. I have two more things. When they're getting off the space shuttle, and you see the people in like the hazmat suits, and then Liv Tyler just runs by. Is there not like a detox period? Mm-hmm. Like you were just
a debrief.
God knows where. Like like
radiation. You were just by a nuke for a while.
Exactly. Like no detox. We're just everyone's.
Mm-hmm. But more, it's like, is there not like any sort of like
protocol
scheduling of being like, okay, we're in the hazmat suit people, and then like we'll have the trucks up with like all the civilians. Instead, they're just kind of like, we're all going to arrive at the same time. Actually,
right. We're all just here.
I think IRL. There's a lot of steps in place of like, first of all, like sit down. You tell me the events in the order that you remember them. Like,
that's what I feel like we talked about that in the movie. I was like, man, that debrief is going to be rough.
Yes, they experienced some shit.
Yeah. It's like who died when. And
I mean, I also think we kind of talked about while we were watching it, not on this yet, that the whole like sense of time was just a mystery.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah. By the way, this all takes place in 17 days, as established in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they're like, also everyone went off the oil rig and just went off the grid. Cannot find them in like 20 hours.
They all have new
also,
lives.
It's going to take
has a new business.
It's going to take hours for you to get into orbit of the moon, but then more hours for this. And it's like, but we have 18 days. And like these people have never been astronauts before. Like I said, timeline is wonky
You got
here.
16 minutes. You got to get to the moon. Like,
Yeah.
so many bizarre time warps there.
All right. Was that your last one? Or do
My
you have
last
more?
one is the last scene is the wedding. That was Ben Affleck's idea to film it on like a handheld little camera.
Yeah.
That was just a fun fact.
I love your fun facts.
You know,
I love that you know so much about this movie that you can
really
just
love
like
Armageddon.
pop them right
Facts
in.
next.
Yeah, that's me.
I'll
All
let
right.
you go next.
I will go next. My first note is the great CGI on that first when they like show that first like explosion on the screen. It looked kind of comical to me, but
It illustrates the point, but
it gets the point across
at
for
the
sure.
cost of being like, yep, okay,
Great
this is the
CGI
era
is
we're
like-
filming in.
I'm being sarcastic.
Okay,
I
I
don't
was
think.
gonna say I was trying to think of that word.
Sarcasm. Yeah. I was like, this is going, we're off to a great start here. Like really showing that we're being filmed in the 90s. My next note is just literally the word Jesus. When the like, just like all the explosions start happening and just like I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what's going on. It's a lot of shit.
I had a note to that point about this was directed by Michael Bay. And it very clearly showed it. Michael Bay is just known for his over-the-top explosions, special effects, everything. And I'm like, the meteors, they're like hitting, and then they're exploding like they're actual bombs themselves. I know I don't know enough about meteors to know whether that's actually accurate, but to me it seemed a bit over the top as it being like, oh yeah, these meteors are not just rocks, they're actually bombs hitting everyone, just like,
And like the New York scene is like 5+ minutes of this
like,
2-hour
Yeah.
movie that like,
we get it.
yeah, like, okay, like
Yeah.
shit's falling apart. We get it. But I mean, it just went on and on and
And
on.
not just that, but there's so many parts where like I feel like people were talking, and it would seem like it was kind of choppy with the dialogue, where they kind of like chopped part of it out at the like cost of being like, well, we need like 5 more minutes of New York exploding.
Right.
We're gonna cut
The
out
taxi
each of
driver.
these 8 seconds of dialogue to build up, so we have 5 more minutes of New York just
Yeah.
Yeah,
collapsing.
we get it. And then my next note was Ben Affleck with like an eye roll emoji, because I didn't actually put the emoji in there, but like just like I was so mad at myself for not remembering that. And I guess why I kept saying like Matt Damon, and because I just like I thought it would come to me, but it didn't. But Ben Affleck was great in this movie. My next note is lol phone book, just because like I mean he was so aggressive about the phone book, and
Phone book.
like phone book is just not something I thought about. It's so long.
Let's look up NASA's number in the phone book, because that's a thing.
Right? Like, I mean, it's so quickly just become like, oh, we'll just Google
The
that.
acting in that scene also was terrible. It was like, get the phone book. Like, it's something about it, the way he like the delivery there was like he was reading off a cue card, and I'm like, that's the best actor you can find for all this.
I don't know. I also was
thought he was
expecting
great.
him to like cycle back around, like play a bit more of a like a
Yeah.
pivotal role in that. I feel like they really set that up. And like there's 9 telescopes that can watch this, and we control 8 of them. And I was like, oh, so this guy's gonna come back, and then he didn't. So I
Yeah.
was kind of disappointed.
Poor
about that.
Dorothy.
All right, my next one is Twin
Dottie.
Towers. Like again, we already talked about that. Okay, and so then this next note, I'm gonna combine 4 of my other notes that are left into this one, and just like load it up, because we've got like ding, 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 ding. Beam Me Up, Scotty is a connection to Star Trek, which we have also
Up,
watched
Scotty.
this season or last season. This season. So we did Star Wars, or
been a long
no,
decade.
it's not Star Wars. We've done space
seen
and
Star
sci-fi this year, so it's kind of confusing. And then they had the quote, talk about the wrong stuff, which I believe would be a connection to the right,
Right
stuff, which we also watched this season. And then they talked about Star Wars and Han Solo specifically, but Star Wars several times, so that's another connection. And then
Our sci-fi season.
yes, from our sci-fi season. And then Houston, You've Got a Problem is a play on the Apollo 13. Houston, We've Got a Problem, whatever. So that is 4 crossover references. Ding, 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 ding. Those will all appear on the
Nice.
screen. I don't remember how many crossovers
Love
we've
that
had
for
between
you.
the pod at this point, but
Yeah.
there's at least 4 in this movie. So this one I think takes the cake of the most
And these are the ones
connections.
that we at least like noticed in real time. Like there might be
Yeah.
even more of the space ones, but
But I will say, I feel like we got the most crossover connections during our sci-fi season. It was like, oh, this is a connection to this, and this is a connection to this, that like coming back to the space.
well, this one
season,
being
like,
a space and sci-fi movie,
we're
you kinda
just
expect
like
it.
loading on top of each other. All right, and then so now I have a question for you guys. Is my next note is so they were. Bruce Willis was talking, like they were deciding whether or not they were going to help out. And he's like, okay, so we've got some requests. And he was like, drop my tickets, or, let me spend a
White
week
House.
in Vegas, whatever.
White House.
What would be your request of the government? Do you have one off the top of your head? You don't have to have one if you don't want to, but like, do you have something that you could be like, I want to do this?
I have one. Well, I got one that I'm not going to see for the pod, and I got another one.
Ooh.
Ditto.
I've got one. Well, mine would just be like one of those things where it's like, you know, like a couple of years ago, American Airlines or some like airline had like a promotion where they were like, you can fly wherever you want first class, and it's like $100,000 lifetime, like whenever you want to fly. And then they eventually canceled it because someone was like abusing it. I'd want one of those, like, and probably obviously a +1 or like a +3 to fly wherever and like.
Me.
+4.
Yeah. And just to like to travel and go wherever I wanted, just, you know, be like, okay, wherever I want to go in the world now, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to go there. I'm just going to just fly there. No questions asked. That'd be my number one.
I was actually thinking the same thing. I just want to be able to go wherever I want.
Yep.
Infinite travel.
No cost.
Yeah.
Aren't we also naive that we're not like, oh, don't erase like my speeding tickets or whatever, all the crazy stuff they were asking for. I was like, I just want to be able to go wherever I want. Like, I just want to be able to travel and to see things and to not have to think about like the cost or whatever the flight's going to be or whatever. Like, I just want to be able to like get on a plane and just like go when I want.
Yep.
I'm glad we're all on the same page. So
Preferably
we'll get like
first class.
First class. Lay flat.
Yeah.
The dream.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for playing along with my game.
Yeah,
I'm glad that I was like, oh, we're going to ask the group for this one. And then my next note is the vomit comment. So you missed my pre-show talk from notes of Apollo 13. So quick summary: to film Apollo 13, they basically could film in 25 seconds at a time because they would send the actors up on these, they were able to rent a jet from NASA that would fly up and then drop down, like kind of like they were doing in the training, and they'd have 25 seconds to film.
Wow.
And this thing was called the vomit comet, and it's something that they use to train astronauts to film. Or obviously, we saw them training them in these things, and so they're in these like jets, like, oh, we're gonna simulate what it's like to be in space, and so they're flying the jets and falling down. And I just loved how that connected to the pre-show where we were talking about the quote unquote vomit comet, and they're all like throwing up and everything, and I'm just like, good on you, people. I'm glad it's not me.
I think in those situations though, like in this particular timeline, I'd just be like, yeah, bring it on. Like we got 17 days. Like we got to get through this. So like, let's just vomit our face off and just, I'm here for the ride. Go for it.
In this particular situation, for sure. If I'm Tom Hanks filming Apollo 13, I'm like, do I really need to be like this ill constantly?
How much are they paying me?
Right? Like that's when I start to have some questions. And then I think that actually is my last note because everything else was all these connections. It was a great movie. I did really enjoy it. I did try to like tuck in and just like watch the end instead of just like writing things down all the time.
Yes, it's a very good movie.
But I didn't cry, so I failed the like test of whether or not I liked the movie.
I'm still recovering.
So my first note, I actually didn't have this written down, and I wanted to talk about this in the pre-show, but I didn't want to do any spoilers. But my main takeaway is the first time I ever watched this movie, we had it on VHS, and we watched it, and my main like memory from that is my sister just absolute ugly sobbing at the very end of it. And I'm like on the couch, like next to her, like movie ends. Like I'm like, okay, cool. Like
Jesse,
action movie, whatever. And she is just sobbing into me, like on my shoulder. I'm like, I don't know how I got
Jesse, I'm sorry.
into this role. Just, or like ugly crying. Like, and I didn't really get it. But now watching it like older where I'm less being just like, oh yeah, but like rooting for the asteroid almost. Like actually like understanding the character development, I understand the tears now. So a little bit of forgiveness there.
But also age difference is what, like almost 7 years. Yeah. That you being what, 9?
And she was like 16.
Yeah. It's a different phase of life. For
sure.
I
will say I don't remember like crying earlier on as I watched it as a child, but now I'm like, whew, man.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe next time when I watch it, like, so this was like taking it in, and then next time I'll be like, oh, damn, and then I'll, we'll watch it, and I'll report back.
Okay.
My next note was, what are the odds that like this asteroid hits the astronauts in space, like before it hits any other cities? Like they're in NASA, they're sitting there like having this mission, whatever. The fact that like of all the scope of the Earth, how large it is, and all these like little like flying particles flying through, that it hits like this astronaut. The very first thing is just like poof, astronaut, and then hits like his shuttle and hits all that before NASA has any idea of any of this. Like, what are the odds? Like having watched like Gravity and like any other things, like space is so big, and all these little particles are just like floating throughout there. It just to me just seemed like a little bit. I'm just gonna say it's unrealistic.
Armageddon, unrealistic.
I'm just saying I don't know if it's based on total fact.
And like the fact that like New York gets hit, Paris gets hit, Shanghai, but like,
Big
but
Only
what
major
would
city
happen
centers.
what if Houston got hit? Like how fucked would they be?
Or what if like middle of nowhere Oklahoma got hit? Would people like would people
Or
notice?
okay,
That's crazy.
let's throw some science in here. 70% of the world is water. They never
Right.
showed that in the tidal waves and everything. Like, come on,
Just saying
people.
that, like, in the sequel, they'll clarify that this was actually a bunch of alien. This was like imagine an alien like projectile they fired out there, aimed only at major city centers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm just saying, there's a little collusion there. Mentioned the directed by Michael Bay. Yeah, they mentioned the timeline thing of there were 18 days from like when they detect it till when it hits. And how did they have time to all spread it over the country and AJ start his own company? This was like also it's 18 days, but they also had to like get to NASA, train, get up there, be on the asteroid for
It
a while.
took Bruce Willis 18 hours to get from the oil rig
Yeah.
to there in the first place. That I'm like, you're wasting a lot of your
Yeah.
precious time here.
And they were on this oil rig. Everything's like blowing up. They all were just like, yeah, someone else is gonna fix this and like figure that out, like tear down this oil rig or do something with it. They're like, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just find myself in the middle of USA, just ride on a motorcycle and just speed like hell.
Speaking of oil rig, it was actually, they filmed on a real oil rig. In Texas, somewhere in Texas.
Coming in with
mean,
the fact
in South
snacks
China Sea?
before.
What?
Not in the South China Sea.
Not the oil rig in DC, but the one in Texas. Yeah.
I do want to know, like, is there like an unedited or like a director's cut of this that's like 4 hours long?
I sure hope so.
They have all the special effects, but it seemed like there was a lot of dialogue and like plot development they just kind of like cut out.
Funny you say that. I was just wondering a couple days ago, a lot of movies used to do like rewatches with commentary and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I love watching is Cheaper by the Dozen with commentary.
100%.
It's
Yes.
so good.
So good.
I used
Never
to like
been there,
watch
but-
that for fun
Yep, same.
multiple times. I
Same.
don't know why. But
That
like,
and The Grinch I've seen multiple times.
What? Why don't they do that anymore?
You didn't. I'm sorry.
I know-
You're telling me that you didn't have the DVD of this and you haven't seen the commentary.
Well, people
of
don't really
this?
buy DVDs anymore.
But also they do like rewatch podcasts. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they like leak some of these things to like on YouTube or to some extent, but I don't know if there's as much of a behind the scenes.
So are you
I
going to
guess
be
there's
ordering a DVD copy of this from Amazon this
I
evening?
mean, I only had the VHS, so I don't know what the, what the
I
DVD
only have the
experience
VHS
was.
as well.
Kind of somewhat predates DVD.
I do have a VHS player, so
You have a VHS or VCR?
VHS player.
Amen.
There it is. I have a VCR and DVD player combined.
I mean, I have so many VHSs physically with no actual player, so I'm jealous.
Love it. I'll bring it down.
We've tried. We've got two. They're basically dead.
Yeah.
My next note was how much of this like actual NASA training stuff do you think actually exists? They were like, oh, we've got this big like zero, or not zero gravity, like vacuum thing. We're gonna suck all the air out and do this. We have this like some of the underwater things are more believable, maybe the jet things, but some of the stuff they were showing, like how much of that do they think actually they have versus is kind of like Michael Bay being like, oh yeah, I'm sure NASA's got a place where they can just suck all the air out.
No, 100%. Zero gravity like chambers. I think.
You think it actually exists?
Yeah.
I did question that as well, but also we had just seen the right stuff. So I was like thinking about all the tests that they put them through. Obviously, it was a lot more like breath holding and like mental stamina stuff in that one. But I was wondering like how much of this is realistic and like what kind of tests you go through. I would 100% fail. Like I'm not cut out for that.
You know, the right stuff.
I do not have. I have the wrong stuff. I am in fact the wrong stuff. Like they
I have
say,
the other
like
stuff actually.
that is me.
I've got some stuff.
That I just all of those activities are not for me.
Interesting. No, I think that it does exist. What movie is it? They're in like a
The
spinning
vacuum
ball.
thing seemed
They're like in
crazy.
a ball.
Oh,
They're
it's
like,
like there's like the centrifuge type things where they're like testing that. I think those might.
It's just like a thing that like I don't know.
Oh my god, we were all in the Disney ride together, weren't we?
Oh God, we almost
In
died.
Epcot, the one that Caitlin made us ride, that was like horrible
like Mission Earth
in
or something?
Epcot, and we were spinning.
The ball?
No, we were in a. It was like a.
Oh, we had to
You
like
were there.
do
We
the.
had to
I
press-
was like the pilot.
we
I
had to press
think.
buttons. There was some poor
And I was like,
9-year-old were cussing
ew,
out.
and we had like G forces. Is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
And it was
I was
like-
like, I couldn't press the button.
You could do like the easy one or the orange one, and we were on the orange
Oh my
one,
gosh,
which was
that
more
was the
intense.
rough.
And I was saying a lot of bad words for the entire
I
thing.
don't-
I'm glad you
Oh
were
my
there. You were there too.
gosh.
I was just so focused on like press the button.
I'm like,
press
I
the it's like
can't
not
push
doing
it.
it.
After that experience, I'm like, nope, Not for
I
me.
can 100% do it.
It'd be a bit easier if I wasn't hungover. I will say. I
Also
imagine
true.
people say space is a little easier when you're not hungover.
That was a tough day.
We talked about NASA running solo. Having watched Gravity and For All Mankind, in like the beginning and other parts of it, like they talk about they show all the shrapnel like flying through in the space, like a lot of the space stations or other like spatial are like absorbing it. I'm like, it takes a tiny little bit like grain of rice flying through space to just like shred a space shuttle.
Yeah.
That to me was unrealistic. They're flying through behind the asteroid, just weaving
Yeah.
through things. I'm like, any
And they're
little
like, shoo,
fleck of
shoo.
dust this thing put off, and you're just shred.
Yeah. No, you need
gone,
the
cut in half.
thrusters for sure. Here they are, just like. I was like, no, you got to.
Yeah. Where are they getting the lateral movement from? They've got
Right.
just a bunch of jets in the back. How are they getting the little side thrusters?
But I mean, Sharp, he did a great job.
I'm just starting to think it might
navigating
be a
through
little
that.
bit of science fiction in there.
Yes.
I don't know.
Fiction. Sci-fi. Telling you.
My next note was: did they fly a shuttle there or like a space colony? It had a freaking elevator in there and like a bunch of headroom all over
I
the
was
place.
gonna say
I'm
there
like,
was
how
a
expensive was it to fly a
big-
goddamn city?
the
up
room for
to
all of the drill and
Yeah.
all the extra pieces. So, and like the extra pieces, I was
cargo.
like, where is all
Yeah.
of this?
Get down to the cargo bay. I'm like, this
Yeah.
thing's how large is it that you're flying this around
huge.
the moon?
Right. Right.
Little
lot of
bit.
Just a little
there.
bit unreal. This fiction movie
Even
is
the
just slightly
Armadillo
unrealistic.
had a different compartment because the guy's like,
And that
he's
whole
like,
thing
I'm
is-
heading outside. I was like, and he opens the door. I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna
To
die.
a separate airlock
To an-
inside
yes.
the armadillo.
Like,
And that's
what?
inside the spaceship that they're all flying
Right.
to.
So
In addition to all the stuff.
the first thought when he says I'm going like heading out is like, well, they all got their helmets off. You
Yeah.
want to turn that on before you
Oh, yeah,
open
oh
it.
my
It's
God.
like, well, I'll go with the airlock in the armadillo and
I was like, I forgot about that. But yeah.
just a much more cozier filming experience, I guess. And my final note was it has the best death sequence at the end. Not trying to spoil it. Hopefully you've seen it at this point. But when Harry dies, the whole like life flashing before his eyes, I'll like always remember that, even from the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Of like he sees his life, his little girl, like growing up, and like the memories he won't have, and it's just like gone.
Yep.
Just I love that sequence.
Hit you
It
deep.
was great.
He doesn't want to miss a thing.
I don't want to close my eyes.
All right.
Yes.
So with that,
Would you go to space?
Nope.
not if I had to like save the universe, but like once it's like a little more safe and like at least like 10,000 people have gone up, yeah, I'll be 10,001.
Okay. 10,002.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people like stuck
Maybe
in
someday we'll be
space.
recording an episode from space.
That's really cute that you think that. I'm not going.
I'll go.
Be a fun season.
Yeah.
But with that, I think that takes this episode to a close. So if you're
Yes.
enjoying this podcast, make sure that you rate, review, thumbs up, whatever,
Like, subscribe.
hearts on any.
If you loved having a special guest, aka Kaylin, give us an
If you want me to
extra.
come back, you just let me know.
Like, comment on YouTube, send
if
us a
you
message on
didn't
Instagram.
like her, give a specific thumbs down.
We love her to death.
Don't do that.
And we have an Instagram account that we will post to more often at culturenightpod at gmail, or not at Gmail, at culturenightpod. We also have an email account at culturenightpod@gmail.com. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, if we're super wrong about something, email us. And with that, we'll be back next week. So cheers to Armageddon.
Cheers.
Yay!